What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Fight franchise and a recap of 2023, where we're going to be handing out some MMA awards for the UFC. 2023 has been quite the audacious year for the UFC. There's been many great fights, upsets. I think there's been 11 title changes this year. We've had so many amazing fights, moments, and we're gonna recap all of them with bad MMA math. We've got 10 award categories where we're going to be handing out some varying awards and going to be recapping some of the best of the year. Bad MMA math, how are you doing?
I'm absolutely fantastic. As you know, just echo what you said. This has been one of the most interesting years I've seen in MMA. So I'm actually really excited at kind of just as a kind of a bit of nostalgia as well, just kind of looking back at what the year was like. And I think we've got 10 really great categories here. Um, yeah, I'm just looking forward to kind of reliving those as we go through each one. So very exciting.
Yeah, the thing with bad MMA math, if you don't know what he does and you've never seen his channel before, he goes through every kind of fight card, gives you his betting predictions beforehand, and then recaps the pay-per-views after. So if there's a certain fight that you may have wanted to see throughout the year, his preview and his reaction of, you can go back and check out his channel throughout the year and see his reaction. If there's one I would recommend, some I'd recommend, Marab PTR.
I wish you hadn't brought that up. That
Yeah,
was
go,
that was a bad night for me.
people go back and like if there's fights that you think bad MMA math like would have betted that they won, go back and watch it just so you can see his salty reaction because they are the saltiest, some of the best.
Yeah.
Please, if you get the chance, go back and watch them because we're going to recap this year and find that, and then going forward 2024 you're going to get more of that from him. So yeah,
And you're gonna actually get
it's
to see my face do it this time. I'm not gonna be.
exactly.
You're not just gonna hear my angry voice. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, you're gonna see some of his rage. But today we're gonna be looking at 10 different categories and handing out some awards and recapping some of the year. We want you guys as well to play along and in the comments for all of our awards. Hand out your awards and tell us what you think of them and what you think of our awards. So let's kind of run through them. First award we're going to be giving out is worst performance of the year. Now, there was a lot of bad performances this year, but for me, one stands head and shoulders above everybody else. That award, well, I get calling it award, but it's like one that you don't want to win.
A
That
toilet
award on
seat,
my
yeah.
toilet seat. That award, yeah, worst performance of the year, hands down. Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards. Complete and utter trash performance for worst performance of the year. He went out there and just stunk up the gaff. I thought, when I predicted this fight, I thought he was going to win the fight because I thought his cardio, wrestling, and pressure, he would dominate Leon Edwards, who's a striker, that relentless pressure. He would go out there, put on a fight. He's hyped it up, talked trash about Leon's dad, brought Donald Trump to the fights, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Talked about how he's the greatest welterweight ever, make America great again, all this nonsense. And then to go out there and not even show up. No, people kind of trash on Leon for being boring and whatnot. Leon did what he had to do. He went out there and made it look easy because Colby made it, gave him the opportunity to make it look easy.
I agree
So
completely.
for worst performance of the year, and there's been quite a few, but worst performance of the year, like for example, how bad Cyril Gahn was against John Jones, didn't even like show up or put up any resistance. That was a terrible performance. But this, the amount, if you've talked a big game, back it up, and Colby didn't back up nothing. So for that, worst performance of the year, Colby Covington.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, there were a few honorable mentions I wanted to throw in as well. You had Paul Craig and Johnny Walker. The whole
Yeah,
clinging to the leg while getting your brains battered in was one of the
terrible.
most retarded things I've ever seen. It was embarrassing. Like William Knight and Martin Prachno was something that stood out to me as well. Just basically standing there and then getting booted in the leg for 15 minutes and doing absolutely nothing when you are that much. The guy is just a specimen. And to stand there and just get booted for 15 minutes was embarrassing to me as well. But yeah, I think like it's like you alluded to. I think when you consider everything together, you know, Trump in the crowd, all the fact that he shouldn't have had the shot in the first place. I mean,
Yeah, sat on
you
the
know,
sideline for 2 years.
sat on the sideline for 2 years, like, and then talked the maddest smack. Like, yeah, the press conference was kind of fun, I guess. Like, I'm not really a big component for like, bringing dead relatives into the situation, but you know, trash talk is all fair in the game as far as I'm concerned. So, no, you can't overlook that performance. There is a little bit of recency bias, but I think the fact that it's the way that 2023 was punctuated as well, it has to be him. Horrible performance and rightfully the worst performance of the year, hands down.
Yeah,
Yep, I
yeah.
agree.
There was some the one when you just remembered reminded me. Crone Gracie.
Oh wow, I forgot about that. God,
I only remembered today because
God,
I
that
was
was
making a
awful.
video. That was terrible, but because of how much trash Colby talked, I had to put him at number one worst
I don't
performance
think anyone would. I don't think anyone's going to
of the
disagree with this.
year
It was abysmal. Yeah,
because
100%.
it was just terrible. Like, just
Yeah.
yeah, he was awful. I
Everything,
genuinely,
everything about it, when you think of everything that went into it, as we talked about, was just an embarrassment.
yeah, complete and utter.
Horrific.
Com-
And one thing that deserves a mention as well, his whole media tour afterwards as well,
oh yeah, I
where
saw
he's
him
talking
on
about his broken leg and is like still
broke his
talking
foot in the first
shit.
kick and all this nonsense. Yeah, like
It's just everything combined. It's the turd that won't stop stinking. It's still
oh,
there. It hasn't been flushed yet.
100%.
It
I agree
hasn't been
with you.
flushed.
Yeah,
So yeah,
nothing worse. That was yeah, worst performance
horrific.
of the year. So we'll move swiftly on to the best performance of the year. There's been some really, really good ones. John Jones over Cyril Gahn was, I thought, a really good performance. You had Alexa Grasso winning the title, Marab beating Pete on, even though you didn't like it. Brilliant performance by Marab.
I
Um,
ended up liking Marab after that, to be honest. I've come to enjoy him since then, but I wasn't happy that day. Definitely not. I
yeah,
was fuming.
yeah. There has been some. Even Drekus has put on some great performances, beating Robert Whitaker. But for me, out and out, the number one best performance of the year, Sean Strickland beating Israel Adesanya. I just thought that is easily hands down the best performance of the year.
Yeah, I have to agree again. There were a few that I liked as well. I thought that what Wei Li Zhang did to Lemos was really impressive.
A
I
five
had
round domination.
absolutely unbelievable because Lemos is no scrub. So to do what she did to her, I think it broke the most strikes in women's
Significant structure.
history, significant strikes in women's history, which was enormous. Moreno for putting an end to the rivalry with Figueiredo, I thought was really, and the way that he did
Mm-hmm.
it as well was very impressive. And again, we talked about this, but like the way that fight has aged as well, seeing what Figgy just did to Rob Font shows what impressive win that was. Nicholas Dalby was another one that stood out for me. He had a couple of good wins this year, but I think the way that he beat down Bonfim, coming back into that fight, because that guy was very highly touted, and I was high on him as well. So to do what he did, as a guy who's considered a journeyman, that was impressive. But it has to be Sean Strickland and Adesanya. Like, I mean, nearly knocks him out in his neck of the woods. Then after that, after nearly knocking him out in the first round, I don't know about you, but I was watching that fight thinking, is he going to catch him at some point? Is he going to take over and find a way to win this? So even though Sean was, holding him out for the entire fight, I couldn't help but feeling that Izzy was going to somehow pull it out the bag, and it just
Yeah,
didn't come.
when the
It
decision
didn't
was
come.
being announced, I think we all knew he won it 4-1, but we were like, we didn't know it
Yeah,
was real until the
because
belt
we've
was
seen
wrapped
so
around his
many
waist.
robberies and just in general, but like, yeah,
What a
it felt like as
performance!
sure as a fight could get, like in terms of shutouts.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
defensively sound against an Izzy who was just
Unbelievable.
coming off a KO of Alex Pereira, who Strickland lost to and got KO'd by.
Got starched, not just starched in like
Exactly.
no
So
time.
short notice.
Nobody
It
gave him a chance. I think we said he was the biggest betting underdog in a title fight since I think it was GSP and Matsiro. It was that big.
mental.
Ridiculous.
Easily,
Mm.
easily the best performance of the year. There was some really good. There was some really good
And no,
ones,
no, we
but
were
that,
blessed. We were blessed this year. There's loads I haven't even mentioned, but
yeah, but
nothing compares to that.
nothing compares to that upset
No,
hometown, and then he leaves
everything.
the arena, the fan favorite. Honestly, I'll put his Dricus Duplessis fight in the crowd up there as one of the best performances of the year as well.
No, to be fair, I didn't mention Drickers because you already had, but that's up there as well. The win against Whitaker. If you
No, no,
middleweights really brought it this year.
Strickland attacking Duplessis in the crowds up there for me as well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
He's
The real fight of the night at UFC 296. Yeah,
4-0 this year. Yeah, Strickland has to be best performance of the year. Yeah, easily.
yeah. No,
Uh,
I think that's unanimous. Yeah,
yeah, fight of the year. This
yeah,
is a fun category. I feel like
yeah.
last year we were spoiled. I think we had better fights last year. I think this year we've had some really good fight of the years, but nothing I would say is like stood out like legendary hall of. There is one which is my number one that I've picked, but I don't think like compared to like years before where we've been blessed. There have been some good one. There's been like
Hmm.
Moreno Pantoja,
Yep.
which was my number two. You had Shevchenko versus Grasso two. You just had Irina Aldana and Cara Rosa. Jeff Neal versus Shafkat Rakhmonov. You've got Fiziev versus Gaethje was another fun one. But my fight of the year is Islam Makhachev versus Alex Volkanovski one. I just think getting pound for pound number two versus pound for pound number one in such a high level MMA fight, we might never ever get that again. And the technicality in that fight was unreal. And to see them go against each other, one a high level grappler, one a high level striker, see them nullify each other in each other's game, how close it was, how competitive it was. In Australia, the crowd was intense and amazing. For me, hands down, easily that was the fight of the year. Maybe not like a barn burner like some other fights were or some violent ones, but just for high level, pure technical MMA, my fight of the year is Islam Makhachev versus Alex Volkanovski one.
Yeah. It was on my list as well, and I can completely understand that. The reasons you've given are you know perfectly valid. And I think what kind of made it special as well was the fact that a lot of people, and this is forgotten. A lot of people didn't give Volkanovski a chance in that fight. Um, I predicted on my channel that Volkanovski was going to win, and I got absolutely torched for it. Like torched. Like I got called the biggest casual idiot. And worse. I'm not going to say what was exactly said. Go and watch the video and look at the comments if you want to have a good and see what was said about me on Twitter. I got roasted. The only reason why I didn't have it as number one is I felt like a lot of parts of the fight were on the ground and didn't. There was some which is you're going to get in a 5-round fight, and I'm not criticizing it for that. But there was a reason why I didn't have that number one over a fight that did. You've obviously mentioned some of the really good ones this year. I would have thrown Fakhretdinov and Aleski dos Santos in there as well, because I think like I said, when I think about Fight of the Nights, I think of two people beating the absolute brakes off each other for the entirety of a fight. Very similar to what we've got with Irene Aldana and Carol
Caros.
Rosa recently, which was another great fight. But I plumped for, Marino and Figgy Free gets in there as well. I forgot to mention that one. I'm going with Shavkat Rakhmonov and Jeff Neal. Yeah, I just thought that fight was compelling from minute to end. Like they both beat the hell out of each other, and obviously Rakhmonov is somebody who's very highly touted. Everyone loves the guy, but to see him
Tested.
to face moments of adversity like that, it's one of those fights where not only was it a barn burner from beginning to end, but for me, another aspect of what makes a fight the fight of the year, or is something, an element that needs to go into it. Both stocks need to rise, and I felt like in that fight, both of them came out looking like winners in a way. Because I think people were expecting Rakhmonov to win, not with complete ease, but with relative comfort. and for it to be the war that it turned out to be was amazing. And I think the fact that he finished it so late in the fight as well, like they were basically both really badly hurt, and then to keep his win streak intact in terms of finishes in every fight, for me made it the icing on the cake. So yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either fight, but for
Mm.
me, that was the one that tipped it.
Yeah, you
It was that one.
very, very good pick. Brilliant submission as well. Win by Shafkat. Reminds me a bit of last year Hamzat v Gilbert, welterweight,
Yeah.
up and
Oh,
coming, well
that was a
undefeated welterweight, going
very
to war,
similar style of
tested.
fight.
Yeah, very, very,
Very
very
similar.
similar
That's a
in
very
that
good
vein.
comparison. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's what it gives me, that vibe. And I loved Hamzat versus Gilbert, and I love Shafkat versus Jeff Neal. So yeah, 100% two brilliant fights, and I don't envy your pick. Everybody, put your picks in the comments down below and let us know what your pick is. Next category, comeback of the year. Bit of a fun category. I think we may have different picks. There've been some brilliant. It depends how you look at this. Some people may look at some people's fights and how they had a brilliant comeback in a fight. But me, I went with the story, which my comeback of the year is Alex Pereira, which was seeing him getting knocked out by Israel Adesanya. It was sad to see because I'm a fan favorite of Alex Pereira. Seeing him get KO'd and like viciously KO'd. It wasn't even a KO, viciously KO'd. He was a flatlined out cold. And to see him turn around, go up a weight division, beat Jan Blachowicz, which is a tough test and it was a close fight, but he beat Jan Blachowicz, and
Yeah.
then turn around and beat Jiří Procházka for the vacant light heavyweight title to become a two-weight world champion in I think his sixth fight in the promotion.
Yeah,
Like
it's crazy how long it's.
that's a year turnaround like you wouldn't expect. In
Mhm.
what, May you got KO'd, and in November you're world champion in the division above. That's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. And the guy who beat you just got beat by Sean Strickland, who you KO'd previously. It's
It's a
like
fantastic story. Yeah, it is.
that kind of comeback is like, if it happens in 3 years, you'd be like, amazing. To do that in the space of nearly 8 months, unbelievable. Easily comeback of the year, and just shows the resolve that Alex Pereira has to do that. Like we've just seen Izzy lose and him go, I'm going to take 3 years off, and for Alex to lose and go, nah, I'm going to, and lose viciously to turn around and go, no, I'm going to win the title in the division above, and have the courage to do that. I just think comeback of the year easily is that fight. It's not that fight, sorry, it's the story of Alex Pereira having this amazing comeback from getting KO to becoming world champion.
Yeah. No, I agree. If I'd seen this category in the same lens as you did, and I'm kind of glad that we saw it a little bit differently, because then we get to kind of cover both bases in a way as well. We've got kind of, the comeback story, and then we've also got what I would consider comeback of the year in terms of somebody who within a fight was looking like they were done and dusted, like they were out of it, and managed to fight back within that fight to grab victory from the jaws of defeat, so to speak. Yeah. So so looking at it from that lens, there were a few that stood out for me. I had Kuta Teledzi versus Brenner was one that stood out. Brenner was getting absolutely battered in that fight, and just, like I said, managed to battle his way through, take over, and against the guy that a lot of people were really, really high on. So really impressive. Edson Barbosa against Yusuf was another one that I've put down. I mean, that beating he got in the first 2 rounds, like, to get through that. I mean, he got destroyed in that first 2 rounds. So I have to give a shout out for that. Hooker and Turner was another one. To
Yeah, great fight.
Hooker got smashed first round, broke his arm, and yet still somehow managed to chat his way through. I'll give a sneaky little one for Asuncao and Grant as well, because I bet
Yeah,
on that fight. And if you go to my video on that one, I can't remember which card it was on off the top of my head, but yeah, that completed a parlay for me when Grant managed to dig out like a
inverted
submission in
triangle.
literally inverted triangle, literally the last, I think it was in the last 15, 20 seconds of the fight. I love
Mm,
those, when they happen right at the end. But
mm.
the one I went for was oddly similar to lines to what you did, but the opposite. I went for Alex Pereira versus Izzy 2, when so like it was just like when looking at that fight, and how much I love Israel Adesanya. I don't think there's anybody in the game that I hate more, if I'm being honest. But like when I saw him in that situation where he was getting like pressured against the cage, when
Yeah,
Alex Pereira hits I think it's the knee to the, was it knee to the? He had him pressed against and then he was digging him to the body,
yeah.
and then need him in the head,
Mm.
and I was literally, I don't think I've been that happy in a long
Yeah,
time.
you
In that
thought
moment, I was
he's gonna
thinking he's
flatline him
done.
again.
I was
Yeah,
thinking he's gone. This is great. This time it's going to be worse.
yeah.
And then to catch him and to be honest, as cringy as I thought
Celebration.
the bow and arrow celebration was, I mean, the memes that we've got since of it, the edits that we've got with all the it was. I didn't know, it was pretty cool, to be honest. And like I said, even I have to admit that. But fantastic way to, I mean, to, like I said, in terms of snatching victory from the jaws of defeat,
Yeah, he was
that
3
one
0
is
down in the
right.
rivalry. He was about to be 4-0 down. So
The pressure, his legacy was in the toilet at that point. Literally at
yeah,
that moment while he was getting battered, it was like, you cannot be spoken about as the greatest, even middleweight of all time after this.
mm.
And to come back and do that, unreal. So like like I said, I'm glad that we looked at it from different lenses, because we got it. Because I'm sure when some people hear comeback of the year, they might see it as, some people might see it
Fight
in different ways as
story.
well.
Yeah, yeah.
So we
It's
got it covered.
funny.
Yeah.
We picked those two, and we had
And
different kind of.
this is proof that we didn't discuss it beforehand. We
Yeah,
just gave each other
exactly.
some topics and just, yeah. Next
Yeah.
one.
So, um, submission of the year.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like it hasn't been like a crazy year for submission like other years. There's not been like
No, this one was hard.
there's been like past years. There've been like mad submissions we've had like, but this year it was Alexa Grasso's submission over Valentina. Um, the inverted triangle we just talked about was one of the best, more technical ones.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else was there.
The twister
So yeah,
that
we
Damon
had
Blackshear got.
yeah
The level of competition he was fighting, and he was literally
one of the
given all the
best.
time in the world to set that up.
Yeah, we did
Like,
have that. We had the twister. I feel like
mm,
for some reason there was a Shafkat's a standing choke against Jeff Neal. That was a good one. I feel like there was a standing choke in one of the women's divisions that I just can't remember. But yeah, for me, I just had to go with what I saw was somebody who made it look so simple, and it didn't even look like it was in. John Jones versus Cyril Gahn, that guillotine choke to come up the division below on your return with all this pressure on you. Oh, you're fighting a real heavyweight now. Can you handle it? This, that, and the other. And I think we all thought if he takes him to the ground, he's gonna do him in. But to just make it look that easy and just crank the neck, and then all of a sudden Cyril's tapping him. Everybody was shocked it was over. We were like, "What?"
yeah, no,
But
I admit that's how I reacted. It's like it's done. Like, it's over. I couldn't believe it. Like,
it
it just
just
felt simple.
maybe the talk on the neck, maybe he had it such cinched in. But I don't have a clue what it was. I wasn't in there, but how shocking it was and how easy. I think that's what it was. How easy he made it look is what impressed me the most. Which is why submission of the year for me has to go John Jones, Cyril Gahn, especially all the pressure. Your legacy's on the line. Your first fight at heavyweight. Can you do it at heavyweight? Blah blah blah. And then he goes and does that. John Jones
Yeah,
versus Cyril Gahn. Submission of the year.
yeah, that was my second. And the reason why I didn't have it first was, I think Garn proved himself to be so inept there that's what kind of bumped it down a rung for me. But having said that, you did mention Grasso and Shevchenko, the first fight they had, and that for me was the submission of the year, purely because, again, Grasso was a heavy underdog in that fight. Shevchenko, for whatever people want to do to take a shit on her, she's like a fantastic fighter, a great champion. And like I said, the fact that it felt like in that fight that Grasso was waiting for that moment for her to do something silly and spinning, silly attack, and she was waiting for that moment to take advantage of it. And as soon as she did it, she knew exactly what she was going to do, and she implemented it fantastically. And to pull that off against a champion on the level that Shevchenko is, who at some point was considered one of the, may still one day. Her story's not over yet, but that for me is what made it slightly above the Jones and Garn submission.
No,
Yeah,
great pick, especially the stakes and being that much of an underdog and
yeah, yeah.
exploiting a weakness of or a tendency of another fighter like that, high IQ. So
That's
yeah,
exactly what it was. Yeah,
don't blame me in the slightest. Great fight and great submission, and yeah, put your comments down below. What did you think was the submission of the year? We weren't spoiled as much as
yeah.
last
This
year,
wasn't that
so
hard. Yeah, there wasn't
it
that
was a
many
bit
for
more
me.
difficult. So,
Yeah,
but something we were a bit more spoiled with was KOs.
we were always spoiled for KOs.
Yeah, love a good knockout. We had some brilliant ones. Most recently, Josh Emmett murdering Bryce Mitchell. That was unreal.
Adequate description. That was. So.
I was genuinely considering it because it did feel like a head kick knockout with a punch. It was so
And it was all the
vile,
twitching and stuff. It was
disgusting.
yeah.
You had start of the year, Ishmael Bonfim flying knee, unreal.
Terrence, what was it? Terrence McKinney.
Terence McKinney, yeah. You had two vicious head kicks. You had I forgot
Gaethje.
his name. Gaethje, that's the one. Gaethje and Islam in some high level fights, getting some big head kick KOs. You had loads. You could go through all the fights, and you'll
Royval
find
and
some feel.
Nicolau was one that I wanted to throw in there as well because
Yeah,
Nicolau is
brutal.
somebody I consider to be so high level, and yeah, for Royval to do what he did, very
Yeah,
it was incredible, brutal as well. Yeah,
for me, had to be one, and it was one that you discussed earlier: Israel versus Alex Pereira. The stakes, everything that was on the line. 3-0 down in the trilogy. You've just lost your title. You need it back. Your legacy's on the line. And back up against the fence to throw that. It didn't even look like it landed, which is what the weird part was.
a lot
And
of
he
easy
just,
strikes don't look like they do,
yeah. And
but
then it's just
then
like
they go
I
to
don't.
sleep.
Yeah, it's weird power, and then lands, puts him out, and then the hammer fist after final blow, and he's gone. It was unbelievable. Celebrations after the speech after that KO was unbelievable. Yeah, there was probably one or two which would look a bit more flashy and technical, but this is at the highest level of MMA with two of elite kickboxers, and to see him get flatlined like that was just unbelievable. Like if you were going to say before that fight, one of them's getting flatlined, you're probably saying Alex is flatlining Izzy because of the
Yeah, it was
power
more
advantage.
likely. Yeah, it
But
felt
to
more
see,
likely at the time.
yeah, to see it the other way around. He's flatlined Izzy before in the second fight in kickboxing, so you would have said that. But then to see him flatline Pereira like that was unbelievable. So for my KO of the year, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira.
Fair one. It was on my list as well. We've mentioned some of the other ones already. Now, the one I went for, I knew you were going to forget because you don't really rate this person that highly. You didn't before the fight happened, but I went for Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich. Yeah, and the reason why I went for that one is like
I
it
forgot.
was again the yeah, I know you I knew you would. No, it was the for me this was like the opposite. You know, if like when Islam and Volk fought the second time, if Volk had flatlined Makachev somehow
Mm-hmm.
in the first round, that's what this felt like to me because it was like you obviously
Short
had Tom
notice.
Aspinall short 2 weeks less than, coming up against one of the scariest guys in the division who most people were
Yeah,
saying flatlines John Jones, like, is
I said
not
it.
well, not most people were saying that, but like a lot of people were, including yourself, yeah. Because I know how high you were on Pavlovich. So for me, like, yeah, to get in there and do that, and he got caught as well. You took a slap. Um, so to go in there at short notice against the guy that scary, and again with those stakes, and like he said, he talks a lot about how when he goes in there, he's scared. You know, Aspinall's been very open about how he feels when he goes in there. So to do all of that with so many things against him, he looked a bit podgy in there as well. Like he clearly wasn't gym ready at
Training.
that point. To knock out a guy like that the way that he did, it wasn't the most devastating KO. Like it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like he was chin down, arse up, as we like to say. Um, but it was devastating the way that he finished him, and yeah, just the circumstances and the way that he did it. For me, that was the definitive KO of the year.
Yeah, before the fight, if you said one of them's getting flatlined,
You would have said it was yeah,
Aspinall,
Pavlovich doing it
because
to Aspinall,
Pavlovich
yeah.
was on a 5 KO win streak or 6 KO win streak. So yeah,
And bearing in mind that he did it to Blades just the fight before, and
yeah,
Aspinall, I know he lost in a bit of dodgy circumstances, but
we lost to Blades. Yeah,
he lost to
yeah,
Blades. So like, yeah, that for
don't
me
envy
was it.
that. Yeah, that's a great pick. To be honest with you, it slipped under the radar for me. It was, yeah, but that's a
Yeah,
really good pick. And yeah, Aspinall, brilliant fighter and brilliant KO, and he showed fast speed, movement, timing, in out. Yeah, great KO, great pick to be fair.
great KO.
So yeah,
Yeah.
KO of the year. Everyone else, put your comments down below. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? I feel like a lot of disagrees
Oh, they
because
will. That's a
I,
very
I think
subjective.
Josh Emmett might take a couple of
I
fans with
think yeah,
his
a lot of
recency
people.
bias, but it was a brilliant KO as well. But
It
yeah,
was.
KO of the year is right. Adesanya. I went with bad MMA math. Picked Tom Aspinall. Best moment of the year was some great moments. Start of the year, Jamal Hill becoming champ, winning the vacant title. Then we had pound for pound versus pound for pound, Islam versus Volk. Then Jones returning. Then a couple of months after that, you had a bit of a bittersweet one, Robbie Lawler's retirement. Then you had Sugar Sean becoming champ, Strickland becoming champ, Alex Pereira's comeback, Izzy's win. Throughout the year, I think we were just, even the tough announcement, when they announced tough, I was hyped. I was like, yeah, we're getting Conor McGregor back. That's going to be jokes. Like, even that announcement was super fun. I thought that was a great moment. And it wasn't the same, but there was some funny moments that we got from it. And great moments throughout the year. For
We were
me, though,
spoiled.
yeah, for me, though, there was one moment which I think stood head and shoulders above everything. And I think it was, I do love the violence, I do love everything, but I love a bit of wholesomeness. And I love the good vibes of MMA that it can bring sometimes. And
Yeah.
I picked the Korean Zombies retirement. I thought at any moment in the UFC calendar year, this was my favorite. Seeing most retirements, they end quite viciously and quite sad. Frankie Edgar's comes to mind when he got viciously kneed by Chris Gutierrez and was put to sleep. Zombie got put to sleep by Max, you know what I mean? It was quite bad, but the fans didn't run away. They were singing his song after. It
Like
was
they did to
bittersweet.
Glover.
Yeah, they ran off for Glover. Glover's Brazilian fans bloody done a runner. Absolute wastemans, but Korean
Yeah.
Zombie, they stuck around, sang his song. Max was gracious, gave his flowers to Korean Zombie. They let Korean Zombie have like 4 minutes time on the mic afterwards to give a speech and say his goodbye and go out with his family and go out with his wife. It was just a proper sweet moment where the fans, a legend, he's not the biggest legend, didn't win world titles, but a fan favourite who put on wars for us, got a proper send off that he deserves, not like shoved away. Like it feels like Tony Ferguson's going to have a brutal send off, and he shouldn't. He should have like a send off the likes of Korean Zombies had, putting on walls for us. And he when he went to fight Max, he went out with a bang. He just goes, third round, I'm losing. Let me
I'm gonna
just
go
go out
for
and
it.
do it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So
which is so him.
yeah, Korean Zombies retirement, bittersweet moment. It was easily the best moment of the year for me. I loved it from start to finish, and how they were all singing the zombie song was the best moment of the year for me. We were spoiled, but Korean Zombies retirement was my moment of the year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but this was the only moment in 2023 that I did not see live. So like I was at a fun. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to my sister. I was at like her first amateur kickboxing event where she was like the co-main, and
Yeah, you couldn't
she
miss
ended up
that.
starching some girl who was like 10-0 or something. But like she was supposed to go in there and be a can for this girl, and she ended up beating her up. Um, so shout out to my sister for that one. But yeah, I didn't see it live, and I only actually saw it recently, where I saw the whole fallout and um, which is a great, which was a great pick. It would have definitely been up there for me if I'd seen it live. You know how seeing it
Mm.
live, it adds a different thing
Yeah,
to it.
it makes it better.
Yeah, but I went for I had to go for Sean Strickland
Yeah,
against Adesanya. It wasn't for the win. it was it was because of the outpouring of emotion that came from him when that
Mm,
belt got wrapped around his waist, and everything. I mean, if you add up everything that went into it, the how much odds were against him, so on and so forth. Like
short notice.
in that moment when the belt goes around him, and you just get this outpouring of emotion, like
Mm,
that for me summarized what 2023 was in terms of being the year of the underdog, the year where anything could happen, just the year where you can't take anything for granted, and like that was the moment for me when he's in, you know, literally emotionally draw all over his face,
mm,
and the fact that he beat Izzy as well was extra sweet for me as well. But like that for me epitomized everything about being a guy who's come from the background he's come from, and you can do anything, and that summarized greatness to me, and just a great, what makes MMA the absolutely a cut above anything for me. It was that moment,
raw emotion.
raw emotion.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% now. Brilliant moment. Yeah, I loved it in the fifth round when he's screaming at him. Come on, China man, come on, come on. When he's running
Oh,
him
that
down and
ending! Oh my
screaming
god,
at him.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that was very
yeah.
satisfying.
That is one of, well, yeah,
Yeah,
one of the best moments of the year. Yeah, 100%.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we both picked emotional moments, but you were picking one at the high end of his career, and I was picking a guy at the end of his career. So, yeah, both brilliant moments, though. Yeah, 100%. Don't envy your pick at all. It was a brilliant pick. Fight card of the year. Spoiled. I literally was finishing up my script I've done the audio for fight card of the year, ranking them, all of them. But for me, there was a fight card this year which I put as one of the best fight cards of all time. It's up there. It's probably in the top 15. If you did top 15 fight cards, I think this one's in it. It was that good. My best fight card of the year, we were sport, but it was UFC 290. From start to finish, this was unbelievable. This was one of the best fight cards of the year. I'm just going to load it up just so I can just remind people how good this was. For everyone who doesn't know, it was July. It was the International Fight Week card, headlined by Falcon Rodriguez. But you had the whole card. Let's just go through like some of the highlights. Jesus Aguilar, 17-second KO over Shannon Ross. Cameron Simon KO's Terence Mitchell. Vitor Petrino, Marcin Pracino.
Prachnio,
Yeah.
yeah.
Light heavyweight, Alonzo Menafield submits Jimmy Crute. Denise Gomes, 22nd KO. Robbie Lawler's KO in retirement, which was a legendary moment. Bo Nickel starches Val Woodburn. Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner. War, that was a brilliant fight. Drekus upsets Robert Whitaker. No one saw coming. And then the Izzy aftermath in the cage, which was a mad moment. One of the best fights of the year, Alexandra Pantoja versus Brandon Moreno. And then Volk putting on a clinic in the main event. Like from start to finish, this card was unbelievable action and one of the best cards, I think, in recent memory. It was so good. I think it
Yeah,
was,
not just of the year, like maybe one of the best cards ever.
yeah, 100%. Like I didn't want to say it, but it is genuinely up there because a card from start to finish, which is that good, is unreal for me. And the fact you had two wars. Not Bone Nickel, Dan Hooker and Jalen Turner, and Alexander and Brandon Moreno. Two wars on one card. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, my fight card of the year, UFC 290.
Yeah. You can't. I mean, you're absolutely right. You can't look past UFC 290, and you pretty much convinced me that that was the card of the year, and I'm not going to argue with you about that at all. I can't. I mean, nothing tops that. I will just give a little honorable mention though to UFC 285,
Good card.
which was the Garn and Jones card. You know, it had my fight of the year, which was Shavkat and Neil. Grasso upset Shevchenko, which was massive as well. She really annoys me, so that kind of I enjoyed that. Gary got that comeback win against Song Kenan, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love Gary at the time, but I certainly liked him a hell of a lot more than I do now. Which is probably the same way a lot of people feel. Cameron Simon got a great win, and I would be remiss to not mention Tabitha Ritchie being on the card, who is the let's just leave that on the table. I don't think I need to explain why seeing Tabitha Ricci is always a joy. And then by the time we got Garner Jones, it was already feeling special up to that point. But yeah,
Yeah,
for
very
him to come
good.
back after 3 years, it was a
Yeah,
great card. But I would have
yeah,
to agree that UFC 290 was the card of the year. But I feel like 285 deserves its flowers as well. So we'll
brilliant card, brilliant card.
yeah.
I'm gonna be releasing a video soon ranking all the pay-per-views, so check that out, and you'll be able to see what I think are the best and worst of the year. That'll be a good watch, and you can see where I put UFC 285. But yeah, 290 for me, fight card of the year, and one of the best fight cards of all time. Like upsets, but two amazing best fights of the year. A clinic by Volkanovski, KOs with 17-second KOs, just an unreal retirement for Robbie Lawler. It just had everything. I think it just had pure action and hype. So for me, fight card of the year, UFC 290. Last two awards, handing out best fighter of the year awards. We'll start with female fighter of the year. We were a bit starved of female fights. None of the champions were defending enough title defense.
And
Bro, Zhang
there
Wei
wasn't a
Li,
lot. Yeah, there wasn't a lot
Nunes
of
won
activity
title
as well.
defense and
Yeah.
retired. Yeah, it was quite poor. There was one person, and I can't for the life of me. Her name's blanking on me. She had four fights this year. A female fighter. I don't know if you remember her, but she had
For
four
some
fights.
reason,
And
it's not jumping out. I'm assuming it was lower down. Do you remember what division it was in by any chance?
I want to say flyweight. I think she had four fights and she won all four. And it's the first time a female fighter's won four fights in a year. Because I know there's been years where like Angela Hill had five fights. I can't remember. I can't remember what her name was, but she had she was up there for me. I just for her name is I'm
It's gonna
blanking
be
on it
one.
now. We've
We'll stick it in the we'll stick it in the comments when you remember, or in the
yeah
description maybe of
yeah, but
somebody.
she was high up there for me because four fights in a year, four wins is really good. But for me, I just had to go with Alexa Grasso. Two wars with Valentina Shevchenko, a draw in the second, which was close, and you could argue either way. But to dethrone a champion as good as Valentina was, for me, is just deserves you high enough praise for fighter of the year to beat someone like. I didn't think anyone would beat her, so for Alexa to not just beat her, tap her out, and make it definitive, and exploit a weakness in Valentina that I didn't know there was there. Fighter of the year, female fighter of the year, Alexa Grasso for me.
Yeah, and it's a hard one to argue with. I had a second, just purely because I feel like the draw in the follow up fight
Mm,
slightly took the. I To be honest, I thought she won it when I watched it the first time, and I haven't watched it again because I don't have that much time in my life to be doing that. But um, no, I just think like yeah, I think it was the draw that kind of, and again, fantastic year she had. I mean, getting the belt, everything you've said is 100% valid. I just yeah, I couldn't have her at number one. And again, what you said, there wasn't a lot of activity this year. You know, you had Zhang and like Nunes only fought once, as you said. I wish I could talk. I'm just gonna throw in. I know she's not a UFC fighter. I just want to say Stamp Fairtex. You know, I just love her. Like she had a fantastic year for female, fighting in general. But we are talking about UFC, obviously. I'm going with somebody who kind of came on the radar just out of nowhere. Got two really good wins this year. I'm going with Erin Blanchfield. I thought the win against Andrade, we didn't know that Andrade was going to go on the mini skid that she went on at the time.
mm,
Beat her on the feet, which nobody would have expected.
mm.
Before then, doing what she did to her on the ground. And I think the win against Tyler Santos as well, who is a very, very underrated fighter.
Took Shevchenko to a close fight and decision.
Yep. And then to do what it was a close fight as well. But again, Blanchfield is very young. There's a few mentions as well. You could maybe go Macy Barber, who I didn't want to put her in there because I felt like one of the fights she had was a bit of a robbery. I can't remember which one it was, but I feel like she got a lucky one this year. So I think just for the fact that she came out of what felt like nowhere for me, um, to thrust herself into title contention, very promising. Just kind of, I can see a very bright future for her. She had a great year, two really good wins. I'm going Erin Blanchfield, but again, your pick of Grasso is, I don't think a lot of people would argue with her either. So yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
going
the one
Blanchfield.
thing we've learnt the most about is we need more activity.
Yeah,
How luckily women's bantamweight is going to be hopefully thriving again next year because it's been vacant. So we'll see what happens.
yeah,
Hopefully, we get more activity from the women
yeah,
next year, and we can like Aldana and Rosa showed, bro. Sometimes they can just put on absolute war. So hopefully, we
yeah.
get
I'm
more
looking
of them.
forward to seeing them again next year. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Final award, last but not least, male fighter of the year. Um,
Yes.
Bit of a weird year. We've had some really, really good fighters. There was one guy who stood out for me at one point, and then he just took over the year. But honourable mentions: Islam, his rivalry with Volk, very good rivalry, and pound for pound number one, pound for pound number two, jousting. And I know the second fight Volk took on short notice, but if he's
Mm.
on short notice, you've got to starch him. He starched him and put him away. So for that, he deserves big
And it
credit
still
in
is
my eyes.
Volk. It's
Yeah,
Volk.
exactly.
Even a Volk jumping off the couch is still going to be a problem. So he
Mm-hmm.
deserves a lot of credit for that. Yeah.
Drekus and beat Brunson and then beat Whitaker. Two great wins. Pantoja, Moreno, and then Royval at the end of the year.
Yep.
Two great wins. Um, Anyone else you've got? I'm trying to think who else was it had great
Yeah.
year.
Alan.
Yeah,
Alan had a really good year. Like he went on a middle. I think he won 4 fights this year.
there
Uh,
you go.
they weren't the most high level competition you could
No, of
argue,
course.
but 4 wins again in and that he was on a little bit of a small skid. He had some good wins. I think he beat Bruno Silva was one of them. Um, he beat who else did he beat? What was the last fight? Paul Craig was one that he won recently as well.
Edwards beat Covington and Usman. Two good
Yep,
wins.
yep, he's up there as well. Again, Gaethje, Fiziev, and
Fiziev
beating
and
Fiziev and Poirier,
Poirier, two
two
wicked.
big wins.
You know who else? I know I forgot him and I didn't predict Aspinall in the space of a few months, July till November, beat Marcin Tura and then beat on short notice
Pavlovich,
Pavlovich.
yeah,
It's a very good
deserves a
year as
mention.
well. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Anyone else? Alex Pereira for his comeback. I know we had the loss against Izzy, but he had a decent year to make a comeback like that. Why one comeback of the year? But if he
yeah,
beat Izzy and became double champ, it would have been a lock. But for
yeah. Sean
me,
Strickland. Sorry, Sean Strickland as well. I think is one who deserves
well,
a mention. Did I
he
spoil it?
he's my fighter of the. I thought we were gonna have the same one.
No, we don't. But you're gonna understand why I picked my one in a minute. It's gonna tie in.
I'm baffled of who you would have then. So for me, yeah, at the start of I'm certain in December the last card of last year was him versus Jared Cannonier. Am I correct?
It was, and then he fought again in January immediately.
On
He
short
fought,
notice.
yeah, he fought. I know he fought Abbas, and he fought somebody else before that. It was oh, what's his name?
Oh,
Oh,
Abbas
hang on a second.
Magomedov. Wasn't
He was
Imavov,
he
was
was
it?
the one after. It was a Mavov.
Was it? Yeah,
He fought
Nasruddin
Imavov,
Imavov. Yeah,
then who I think is very good by the way as well.
yeah.
And then
And
he
then he
fought
beat
Abbas, and then he
Izzy.
fought Izzy, which is
But
incredible.
people forget in December he lost to Jared.
Yeah,
And to in the space, what the fight was in September, so not even a year, 9 months, those three
becomes
wins, and
champion.
it shows being active and saying yes to fights pays
It just
off.
gets you where you gets you. Yep.
It pays off, and that activity I love. And then he beat DDP in the crowd, so 4-0 for the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I did see that a little bit differently. I saw DDP get advantage at the end there, but we can
Large,
debate that another time.
but for me,
Um,
yeah, fighter of the year, to be easy in the striking realm like that
yeah,
in the space of
huge.
nine
Like,
months, December to lose to Jared Cannonier in the last pay per view, 9 months later to become champion. When we were all saying Jared should get another title shot because Jared just beat
I wasn't saying that, but some people
but
were.
there was some people was because I can't remember who he beat. He beat someone decent. I can't remember off the top of my head. He took a fine.
Vittori, he beat Vittori and
Yes,
beat
beat
Strickland
Vittori. Yeah, there you go. So people, and then for
and battered
Strickland,
Vittori.
to go, nah, 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 I'm going to turn it around.
was incredible. Yeah.
I have no clue who yours is because we've mentioned everyone. I don't know who it is, but Strickland's my fighter of the year.
Okay. Mine, and you're right about all of those. We've mentioned some people already. We had Alan, Drickus, Gaethje. My fighter of the year is Alex Pereira. And again,
Ah,
and this is why we went on those two different diverging paths about comeback of the year, because I already had him in my mind for
fighter of
fighter
the
of the
year.
year for the same reasons that you've pretty much mentioned. But it was not just the fact that he bounced back from losing a title, and he remained very, very active in a new division. He beat Blachowicz, who is, I don't care what anyone says, is a
Tough fight.
monster. It's a tough fight. And then he beats Yeri, who I know was coming off a bit of a
Injury.
injury, but is an absolute. I mean, he's gone on like a ridiculous fight winning streak going back out since before the UFC,
Ryzen in it.
since in Ryzen. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and he beat some absolute killers in Ryzen as
Yeah.
well. But it was also the fact that he's also built himself as a social media guy as well. Like his personality's
Yeah.
come out of that, and I think that factors in. Like Strickland's had a bit of a wobble towards the end of the year, where it's looked like he's in the midst of a breakdown. The way he responded
Mm,
to Drickus's prodding a little bit and the things about his childhood. That's what slightly tipped the scales for me. And I do agree that Strickland had an incredible year. But not only did Alex Pereira achieve that, but I don't think it can be understated that what he's done might be the greatest achievement in combat sports history. To have two
kickboxing world
multiple weight
titles.
kickboxing world titles and then to do it in the UFC as well, that has
Mm,
never ever happened. That has never happened. So I think if you include all that and the fact that the personality that he's put out there as well,
fan
where he's
favorite.
just legitimately come, and for somebody who doesn't speak English as well,
Yeah.
the way that he markets himself and everything he always comes across as humble, yet somehow he trolls a little bit as well, but it doesn't
Yeah.
seem mean spirited. You know what I mean? Even the thing with when Izzy's diving on the floor to his son, he went, yeah, fair enough. I probably would have done that as well. He always seems to know what to say in the situation. He's humble. He knows how to build fights. And like I said, to get those 2 wins and to get another belt, something that Izzy didn't do, that had a crack at, beat the guy that Izzy lost to as well. So that you might as well see that as 4 wins now. I don't, but like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's crazy.
No.
I think the year that he's had overall, if you think about all of it, achievements, how he's built his brand and built himself, and also the guy's been doing MMA for how long? 3 years.
Yeah.
We will never see the likes of that again. That will never happen again. Where someone basically comes in from a completely different, and to not need to wrestle. He's like, I don't need to wrestle. I'm just gonna batter people. Be the boogeyman. And now he's talking about going up to heavyweight.
Aspinall 300.
It could happen. I don't think they'll go down that route, but it might. It might.
No,
You know.
I don't hate you. The thing I love about your pick, the title fight with Izzy, I think was in April or May.
Hmm.
November was the MSG card. What's that, like 8 months, 9 months?
Something six between May and November, or 6, 7. He fought 2 more times after he got starched by Izzy. He got straight back in there and
But
he got
exactly, it's
flatlined.
activity. Like Colby's been on the sideline for 2 years, and after losing to God knows who and whatnot, he's been sat. And then this guy gets flatlined and just goes, "Nah, bro, I don't care, bro. I'm a fighter. I'm getting back in there."
And
Honestly,
he
you threw me with it.
he took the defeat like an
Mm,
absolute champion as well.
yeah,
Didn't make excuses like everyone does in the game now. He said he beat me. Yep. He danced on my grave. I would have done the same thing.
I, I,
100%. The way he behaved.
I can't hate your pick because I'm such an Alex Pereira fan. I just thought the easy loss was just too big of a weight for fighter of the year. But when you make the argument like that, where it's
The fact he
legacy
came back from
defining,
it. Yeah.
two-weight world
Yeah.
champion. No, I don't hate.
Yeah.
And like I said, Cannonier beat what's it called 9 months ago, and Izzy Strickland become champion. Izzy beat what's it called? Alex went up a division, and then his post-fight speech after the win versus Yuri was amazing.
Class.
Where he's like, "Oh, I was in a
Class.
bar, this, that, and the other, and he saved me and gave me something to do. I'm gonna do the same."
And then saying in English, "Come, Izzy, come to Daddy," was just the icing on the cake.
Yeah,
Loved it
no, you know
because it
what?
wasn't, it wasn't, it wasn't vicious. It was just nice. It's good.
Yeah, you threw me with that pick. I was like, well, oh, who are you picking? And then Alex Pereira. No, no, I don't envy your pick. I think it's a very good pick. Yeah, for male
Mhm.
fight of the year for me was Sean Strickland. For you,
Again,
I think
I can't argue with that. They're both,
Alex.
again,
Yeah.
pick either one.
Mm,
How can you disagree? They're
no,
both
yeah.
really good.
No, 100%. Yeah. Um. Yeah, that kind of recaps and resums up the best of 2023. Uh, leave your comments down below. What would you hand out as your MMA awards for our categories? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Do you think we got them all completely wrong? It's subjective at the end of the day. Everyone's opinion is different. How they see MMA. Um, yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed giving you our kind of takes and recaps on the year. We might give you
Same.
spoiler alerts and predictions coming forward for 2024.
Yeah, that's something we need to think about as well. I think we're talking about potentially doing a video where we look at who may end 2024 as
As
champion in each
champions.
division.
Yeah,
So that
and
might be something to look out for.
we might throw in some extra other fun categories in there as well, just for you guys. Let us know if you want to see that. Let us know any other videos or topics you want us to see us cover.
Mm.
Bad MMA math. Anything you want to kind of chat about and plug?
No, I mean, I pretty much covered it in the last pod. You know, we, as always, look out for the stuff I'm doing with Making the Walk MMA. We're all going to be doing stuff together. You know, I kind of touched upon that. You know, as I said, it's going to be a big revamp this year. More on camera stuff, more video variety, totally different format, and hopefully you're going to see a big increase in quality and production value as well. So I'm looking forward to stepping the game up. And yeah, I just want to give a thanks to everybody. You know, at the end of the year, all the new subscribers we got, all the people who commented and got involved. And again, you can shout us both out on Twitter as well, where I've been pretty active this year, and I think you're starting to get involved in
I need to get. I
becoming
need
a
to
bit
up
of a
my
Twitter
game.
head as well.
I watch, but
Yeah.
I don't post. I need to start posting.
So yeah, look out for us on there. Same handle as well. And just yeah, so thanks to everyone who got involved, and hope you had as much of an enjoyable year as we did. You know,
Yeah,
and you know,
yeah. No,
really looking forward to the next one.
I echo your sentiments, guys. Thanks for watching throughout the year. As much as you guys must think, comment as much as you want. We love it because we actually just love talking MMA. At the end of the day, we don't have like people in our close social lives who talk MMA and stuff. So that's why we
Yeah,
have to kind of go online and find other people who are like-minded, who are into MMA just as much as us. It's just luckily for us we both kind of want to talk about it and cover it and post about it. So that's why
yeah.
we have that benefit. But if you want to, you're more than welcome. You're active on Twitter. You don't mind having a couple of back and forths with people on Twitter. I've seen you,
Oh no, that's
and
all I
even in the
do.
comments, you have back and forths, and so do I. I'll chat a
I
bit.
can't help myself.
Chat a
I'm
bit.
very easy to bait.
Yeah,
I'm really
we we
easy to
we
bait
we we, we
into an argument.
we're both quite active on the replies and stuff. So put your comments
Yeah,
down below. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know what collabs you want us to do. We're more than happy to look into it and get it done. And if you want to see more regular content, like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us you want to see more, because it's an indicator. The more views, the more likes, we know, okay, you like this, you don't like this. Comment, you like this, you don't like this. And we'll try and give you what you want to see, and agree, disagree with our takes. Just let us know and let us know. So, Bad MMA Math. Follow him. I'll put all his links in the description, and vice versa. Follow the Fight franchise. We're going to both be pumping out more content coming soon in 2024, and hopefully give you content you guys want to see. Yeah, that's us signing off. Peace out, guys.
peace out until the next one.
Bye bye.